Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. So I forgot to take a before picture, but we're going to be coloring out of Cute and Lovely by Jade Summer. I believe it's Alexandra Franzese that actually did this art. I wanted to show the markers that I was using because mostly this video is going to be showing how I use the Jane Davenport pastels and a little demo of those. But the first thing I wanted to do was put a base of marker down on the paper, and I didn't feel like I needed to show that in the video. So these were the markers I pulled that I thought were good complements to the Jane Davenport Chilled pastel palette set. So it's a variety of Spree, Weisbrandt, Copic, and the Pastel Ohuhu markers. There we go. And so here is the page with a layer marker. I didn't do any shading or anything. I just used a base layer of marker. It is a cute picture on its own, but what I want to demo today are the Jane Davenport pastels, particularly the chilled set, which is what I have. This was a Happy Mail gift from my friend Tammy, and I hadn't had an opportunity to use it until now. These are very cool. Very cool because they're chilled. And what I wanted to do was show, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm having to do a voiceover. So here's a swatch of the colors. It does come with a little card that you can swatch on, but it's a very small card, and I saw Doodle Robot swatch these, and she did this where she did it on a bigger piece of paper, and I think that's the way to go. It's a lot easier to see the colors. I wish maybe they had had a few less greens and maybe the purples, but I would have liked to have seen another pink on this one, but overall, I thought it was really neat, and I don't use pastels all that often. I have the Mungyo pastels that I'll use on occasion for backgrounds, and I have shaded a picture before using pastels, and I did enjoy it. I don't know why I don't do it more, but that's what this is all about. So here I'm showing those colors are really similar, and that's where I wish they had did a different green or a different color. Um, some of them, like the blues, the two light blues are kind of similar. So, but overall, it was a bit of a challenge to find the markers that matched up against it. Now, what I'm showing here is, hang on just a second. Okay. So this page shows all the different little materials I use to put the pastel down on paper and what they looked like. Most of the time in the past I've used the cotton pad, which doesn't give you super smooth result, but I've never really needed it for when how I've used them, which is mostly backgrounds. I did find that like a big round makeup sponge, I think that's what I'm talking about now, is the cotton pad. I had to do a voiceover on this. I left it on mute the entire time and of course didn't record any audio. There's the big round makeup sponge that I've got listed there. That did pretty good. I think still a little patchy. The ones that I thought were really smooth were the makeup brush um, and the little round, I said pan pastel, but it's actually a distress ink tool. I'm going to show it in just a minute that I had picked up. I'll try to put as many of these in the description as I can. There it is. That one was really smooth too. I like that one a lot. If the background had been bigger on this page, I probably would have used that because I liked the ease of use. Some things like the little long pan pastel tool, that right there, not super smooth. Eyeshadow brush gave me a lot more pigment in a small space. I would surprisingly, a regular tissue like that non-lotion tissue actually gave me a pretty smooth look as well. I was rather surprised by that. Now, granted, this is a smoother paper. It's basically between a printer paper and a heavy cardstock. So, what I was getting on there, I figured I'd be seeing a little different results on the Amazon paper because it is a rougher paper. So, on this, I decided to use the makeup brushes because I had the background is kind of small in places, and I have a variety set of different sizes of makeup brush. The Easy Peasy was what I went with the background, that very light green. I originally was going to do marker on the background and then shade it some with that, but I couldn't find a marker lighter than this color. It's basically a yellow green, like a Copic yellow green color. So I couldn't find one lighter in that, so that matched the tone, and I decided to just stick with the pastel in the background. But that works out because you guys get to see it two different ways. You get to see it on the plain white paper and then also on the colored in marker part as well. So, but yeah, no, when I originally recorded this, the volume was muted and I didn't know that. So that's why y'all are getting a voiceover. And again, these are all demos. I had someone request when I first showed I got these. I did have someone request a demo using these, and it's taken me forever to get around to it, but I figured you guys could use a break from watercolors. And I needed a picture I could do fairly quickly because my work week is going to be really busy, and I wanted to make sure I had something ready for Tuesday before the weekend was out. So I just showed you guys the little glove I'm going to use once I get the background down, and I'm going to go in and start with the shading on the llama and the cute little bear. I want to put that glove on so I don't mess up the background. And I was going to try to do this page last month, and I ran out of time for it. But it does apply to my color alarm for this month because of the title, the Alphabet Color 2022C. So I figured better late than never. Come to find out, I really like these makeup brushes. I end up going with the smaller size just because it's a lot easier to get into the little nooks and crannies on this page. So there we go. I don't know why I was showing you that other one. So I loaded up the brush pretty good. What was nice about these is you get a little bit of dust, but you don't get near as much as like the Munyo pastels. Especially because those you have to kind of scrape. The way I've used them in the past is I would scrape them off onto a palette and then use a cotton pad to pick up the pigment and then put it on the paper. I don't know how different it is because I think part of it's the tool. The makeup brush holds it better and it's not as dusty. I think it's also the type of pastel. It's just a smoother pastel. You're pulling it off, a block of color rather than little pieces of pastels that you're scraping with like a little knife and stuff. So yeah, just going along here. One of the things I find with Amazon paper, and you kind of see it with grayscale too, is that lighter colors seem to look darker on here. And so I was expecting more, I guess, of a brighter yellow green, and it really didn't do that. It's got just a more darker tone to it, which turns out fine in the end, and it turns out great. I didn't realize how hard it was to actually see it being put down on the camera, but it is there, I promise you. And of course, the beauty of pastels is that you can go up to the lines of the line art and go over them and then just come back and erase later. I've only used pastels once before on an Amazon page. I believe it was a baby dragon's page. It was the Munyo pastels that I would scrape off onto a palette and use a cotton pad. And I did not like how it did on the Amazon paper. I felt like it was really streaky and blotchy, and that was just not the look I was going for. But let me tell you, I love these little brushes. It was so much smoother than I expected, and I think it's just a combo of the type of pastel and the tool that I'm using. So I hadn't had a chance to use these yet for anything. So this was fun to get to do that too. So what I figure is let me sit here and speed up finishing the background, and then I'm going to come in with an eraser and go around the edges of the picture where I have went in a little bit with the pastel. So let me speed this part up. All right, so of the smaller tools for the smaller areas, I decided to go with these eyeshadow brush looking things. I did pick these up, I believe, from the same company that makes the pan pastels. I'll have to go look. They look like eyeshadow brushes, but I think I like using these. I need to try regular eyeshadow brushes. The type of rubber that they use for these is really conducive to the pastels. So I don't know if like regular eyeshadow brushes would do as well. I would be curious to try it as time goes on. So here I am basically, I start off just shading in where the artist has naturally put in the light grayscale into the parts that are supposed to be shaded. And I'm getting a pretty subtle effect up here. You can see it, but I could see it more, but then I realized the camera wasn't picking it up great. So there's a reason, there's a reason I call these demos. Like I said, I have not used very many pastels, and this is more of a try it with you and show you what I learn rather than any sort of tutorial. So like in this case, I have picked too dark a pink because the darker pink color in this is the same color and it's not picking it up and you can't see it. So I end up going to the darkest, is this where this happens? I end up going to the darkest pink at the bottom, which is called Mindful, and it's more of like a dark purpley pink. And I decided to use that for the shadows, and this worked out really good. This was giving me the look that I needed. What I was really trying to do is use as much of the palette as possible, but a lot of my colors I picked for the markers were just too dark, and you couldn't see the pastel on top. And so I really have to rely on the darkest colors in the palette for this type of shading. And typically I would mix it with like a gray or a black or something to get the darker colors I'm looking for. But since I'm just trying to use this palette and not any other type of pastels, it was basically kind of a challenge. I also come in with a Q-tip just for the really tiny spaces. I do like the versatility of the pastels because you can add as much in as you need to. If you feel like you add too much, you can always erase out some of it. So it's very forgiving. If you want to dabble into other supplies that aren't just markers and pencils, I think pastels are a really good uh, forgiving medium to try. So I would definitely recommend that. I think one of the things I learned here is again just using multiple tools. I forgive me. I did not sleep well last night. I had this is Sunday morning. I had a bit of a surprise last night. Wasn't a bad surprise. It was just a surprise. And I'll talk about that during my coloring chat next weekend. But I didn't go to bed till really late. I don't know why we've paused here. I didn't go to bed till really late, and I didn't sleep well, and just trying to process stuff, I guess. So I'm a little scattered this morning. So here I am coming in with like the medium blue tone, the Serenity Now, which you can see. It's really subtle though, again, and after using that darkest color with the bear, I decided to use the darker tone with this. I can't remember if I used Deep Slate or Take a Breath. They're like the darkest blues on the palette. I used one or the other. And I liked that a lot better for shadows. So what I figure we'll do is I'll show you guys this little bit of the llama, then I'll show you a little bit of coloring the full body of the llama, and then there's one thing I do the picture that I feel like really makes a difference after I get all the shading done. And I think it's one of the things that bugs me about pastels. And so I'm going to show you guys how I did that. And then we will look at, of course, I'll speed up the rest of the shading, and then we'll look at the finished picture too. So, but as you can see, that darkest color really, even though it's a light color, that darkest color really works with it. And like I said, you can come in and erase if you feel like you went a little too far with it. So I feel like these were really smooth pastels. I don't feel like it was blotchy on this paper like I expected it to be. I was really pleased with them. So actually, let me go ahead and cut to the llama itself, the blue. Well, sit here. And so if there's not any shading or grayscale that's been done by the artist, I just try to hit the normal spots like the inside of the ears where there would naturally be shadow, like on the bear, under its neck, and the little creases and crevices, and then like at the very bottom and stuff. So just where I think a shadow would lay if there's not any shading in is what I usually do next. So now we're paused again. Where I was doing a lot of thinking on this yesterday, I think. I think I was doing a lot of thinking. Oh, Lord. Alright, let me cut to the shading the llama. Alright, here we go. So I think I do like the trying the mid color again at first. I didn't really like that, so I ended up coming back in with that darkest color, the deep slate, I think. And instead of just doing it over the light grayscale parts, I end up also, as you can see, shading over where there are little lines of fur on the llama. I basically outline um, where the llama butt, the llama butt um, sits. I basically outline it, and then I come back through. You can see me kind of rubbing in a little bit of the pastel here. I'll use a pretty thick layer of pastel to draw kind of a outline around the piece of line art that I'm working on. Then I come back through, I turn the eyeshadow thing to the other side, I come around, and then I blend in. And that seemed to be the way I really liked using them. Sorry, there were some areas where I really thought I had gotten the green overlay erased, and apparently didn't do as good a job as I thought, so I had to come in and clean that up as I went too. So but this is definitely going to be a spray with fixative type of picture. We have had some nicer days, so probably today is a good day to go out and spray it with that chalk pastel type of material. I think it will rub off. I don't feel like it comes off super easily. It didn't feel like, as much as I went over this picture, I wasn't picking up a lot of the background color on my gloves. So once it's down, it doesn't come up super easily on this paper. And again, it might just be the pastel itself. It might just be the type of paper. So yeah, here I'm just pulling out away from where I put that heavy bit of pigment, and then just lightening it up as I go along. And probably about this point is where I feel like I hit my stride. I usually have a big makeup brush that I can just brush the paper with, but I don't know where it was at this time, so I was really trying to make sure I had that green done. So so as I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and here in a few minutes, probably about the time we get around to the stomach of the llama, I'm going to speed up and show you guys shading in the rest of the picture. The grass goes really well. The saddle, I went too dark with the colors. It was just kind of hard to find a lighter version of those colors. And so you can see it on there a little bit when I put the pastel over it, but not like you can on the lighter colors. So like I said, this was a really good learning picture, and I did not expect it to be a masterpiece, but it actually came out a lot better than I expected as well. So when I first started, I was very hesitant on the amount of pigment, and then as you can see, as time went on, I've gotten bolder with how much pastel I'm putting down. because I realized if I put down a really thick line, obvious line of it, I'm going to be coming in and blending it out anyway, so it's not going to be that harsh looking when everything's said and done. So, like I said, this is kind of where I hit my stride on the shading. So you'll see me shade the llama the rest of the way. Then what I do, and I do this off camera. So one of the reasons I don't like using pastels, it's kind of like watercolors, or certain types of paint. It can dull the line art. It can make it look real faded, and even when I go over it with an eraser like I have here, it still looks kind of dull and faded. And so what I did once I got done adding in all the pastel I wanted to add in is I got out my black Pit Artist pen, like I did with one of the jungle miniature watercolor pictures in that demo I did a few weeks ago. I have a black brush tip Pit Artist pen, and I just went over all the line art with it. It's a little, I mean, it's tedious, and most people may not want to go to that level of detail, but when you see the finished picture, you'll see it. To me, it's just such a huge difference, and I love the look I got from it. On a simple picture like this, I wouldn't mind. If it was something super complicated, like a Marjorie Sarnett picture or something, I probably wouldn't spend that much time doing it, but it didn't take long. On these smaller pictures like this, it really didn't take that long. So I go over it with the black Pit Artist pen. Then I end up adding in some sparklies because y'all know that is how I roll. We use a little bit of dual metallic gel pens and a little bit of stickles. I think that's it. I don't use a lot for the picture. Not as much as I usually do. I also go on where I've done the black outline, and I use some of the dual metallic gel pens to go over that black line. That was similar to a picture I did last month in Baby Dragons with my red and pink dragons, and I thought the look was really nice. Again, when it comes to pastels and using gel pens like that, these are my subtle pictures where I don't go as big and bold with stuff. It's something that is not super obvious when you first glance at the picture, but then as you kind of look at it, it comes to light. There's not harsh lines, and you'll see at the end I do show a little video where I pick up the picture and move it so you can see the shininess of it. So that's what I'm going to be doing to finish out this picture. We're going to speed it up and set it to music, and you'll see me finish out the pastel shading part of it, and then we'll hop to the finished picture, and I'll give you my thoughts on the whole pastel process. So here we go. So here is the finished picture, and it has got a little bit of shine to it because that's just who I am as a person. You can see I went over the hearts with some stickles and dual metallic gel pens, a little bit of stickles for the flower and the llama's on the llama's head. You can see the lines on the llama and the bear. I've used the dual metallic gel pens on, and on the grass at the bottom. Again, not a super man, the picture quality of these is terrible. The picture on these webcams, it doesn't take a very good picture, does it? Anyway, this is the finished picture, and it turned out really cute. I actually wish I had stuck with the pink hearts on the saddle, but that's okay. There's plenty of other pink, and like I said, I went small with the sparklies, but I feel like overall, it it was exactly what it needed. I didn't want to take away from the shading too much. I didn't have a lot of luck again shading that saddle just because the colors I had were, I should have went with lighter colors on the saddle. So, final thoughts on, I guess, pastels as a whole and then the Jane Davenport pastels. I really liked this picture. It did not take very long at all compared to some of the other pictures I work on. Once I figured out which tools I like to use, and once I got past a lot of the prep work, it went pretty smoothly. And I enjoyed the process of adding the pastel. It didn't feel like it took so long that it was annoying me. It was just enough focus to kind of, I don't know, distract me with the shading, and it was something different instead of just using the background, the pastel in the background. I feel like the pastels themselves perform great. I didn't have near as much dusty on my desktop like I do with Mungo. So I feel like the type of pastel and the brushes did really well with that. I want to buy, I believe there are two other sets she has, Birthday Suit and Lit Up. But unfortunately, I cannot find either one on Amazon right now. So I guess just due to stock issues like a lot of other companies are dealing with right now, I guess as time goes on, I will be picking those up as well because I really like these pastels. So and you can also see where I went over with that Pit Artist pen just how much it made the line art pop, which is, again, one of my biggest issues with pastels and using them in this type of picture. It didn't take long to go back over them with the pen, and I just feel like it made such a huge difference, that and then the dual metallic gel pen. So I hope you guys enjoyed this demo. Like I said, it was fun to do something different. I may try to do another picture with these, probably a similar type picture. It's just, again, the palette's a little limited, so I might have to get a little creative with it if I just want to use the palette. But overall, I was really pleased with these. I think if you're looking for pastels, not pastel colors, but like pastels to use, even on like Amazon paper or super smooth paper, I feel like these are a good choice. I also feel like if you really want smooth results, using using one of those soft makeup brushes, even trying a tissue, like just a little paper tissue, actually gave me some pretty smooth results. If you really don't have any other tools on hand, it's always fun to find stuff around the house. The Q-tips and then the little eyeshadow brushes did really well for those small areas that I wanted to kind of outline and just darken around the edges of the actual objects in the pictures. So just having tools and having a little versatility. And again, it doesn't all have to be like the Pan Pastel brand stuff. It doesn't have to be anything like that. You can find makeup brushes, I think, at most dollar stores. You can use Q-tips and cotton balls. I don't know how they would do. And then, like I said, even just standard tissues. I think if I didn't have any of the tools, using tissues for like a smooth background and then using the Q-tips for detail areas, I think I could do just fine with that, and maybe that would be a good video idea. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that or see something else with the pastels. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be back Friday with my Amazon 3 for the price of 2 sale books. There'll be 6 of those total. And then Sunday, I'm hoping I can do a color and chat. And we'll see how things go after that. I gotta get through the work week first. So thanks guys for watching, and bye for now.